Time. And we're live. Yes. So, welcome to Puckin Awesome. This is our 7th episode. I am Cassie, Abstract Halo on Twitter and on Reddit, and I'm joined by...
I'm Terry. I'm 20 on Twitter and Reddit.
I'm Ari. I am Ari_Raid on Twitter and Reddit. And I'm your resident Blackhawks fan. So maybe let's get started with just quick. We're not going to talk over discuss the Stanley Cup final. It's a little bit in the rearview mirror now. We're just going to give you guys our quick sort of 30-second. What was the best thing to happen? What was the worst thing to happen about the Cup final? What did we like? What didn't we like? And then we're just going to go straight into trades and free agency and your guys' questions. So, Kathy, why don't you start? What are sort of your pros and cons of this year's
the biggest con for me was all the pictures of Sad Lundqvist. They were heartbreaking. I enjoyed it. The last game there with this 2 overtimes, it was so hard. It was just so stressful, and neither of them are my team. So it was kind of a con, but it was a great series. And I'm glad they didn't get swept.
So. My least favorite thing was I wanted the Rangers to win, and that didn't happen. My most favorite thing was that last game was absolutely amazing. It was so intense. I couldn't believe it. I was sitting on the couch with my laptop on my lap watching TV, and I nearly threw the laptop across the room because I jumped up. One of the times they hit the crossbar or the post.
That was the night before my graduation, and I was at a not a sports bar, a high class sparkly dress bar, streaming the radio on my phone with an earbud in one ear while I made conversation. With the other ear / my mouth, and I have to say it's the most coordinated thing I think I've done maybe ever. Frankly, I am extremely impressed with myself.
I will say, I was at work, and I got home, had to take the dog for a walk right away, got back at 10:15, and was still almost able to see an entire game of hockey.
Yeah.
That was nice.
Yeah, my boyfriend usually can't stay up late for games because of his work schedule, but he was so tired and stuff, but he's like, I'm going to watch the whole thing. He goes to the first overtime, he goes, okay, it's going to be ending soon, it's going to end soon. Second overtime, God damn it, somebody score. That was how that went. As soon as they scored, he ran to bed.
I guess my sort of pros and cons were I really loved to see Justin Williams win the Conn Smythe. The minute you say someone's underrated, they sort of immediately become overrated. But I do think he is an underrated hockey player. He was tremendous for Carolina in '06. He's been huge for LA. And it's awesome to see a player who doesn't necessarily have the cachet of someone like Andrei Kopitar or Jonathan Quick win the Conn Smythe. I guess my con would be just watching that series. New York didn't really show up to play. That wasn't the New York that shut out. That shut out Montreal. That wasn't the New York that beat the Flyers. Watching that team and knowing that my team was 1 overtime goal away from rolling that team over. Oh.
Yeah. And with the Rangers, only one Ranger did show up, and it was Lundqvist. The rest of the team did not.
Yeah, what a tough series for Dan Girardi, too. He's a tremendous defenseman, but it just... 5 bad games in a row, sort of, he's going to be asking himself the questions this offseason that Slava Voinov would have been asking if the Kings had lost. Speaking of which, what the hell, Slava Voinov? Not impressed.
No. What did you guys think of the Kings deciding to honor Robin Regehr, handing the cup off to him first?
I loved that. I thought that was great.
I did too.
I definitely liked it. I like it when, those guys who are so happy to have it for the first time get a hold of it. I personally was a big fan of the fact that Mike Richards handed it off to Jeff Carter a fucking again. The romance is out of control, boys.
Oh, and one of the other things I noticed, this happened on Twitter and on Reddit, and I want to clear it up. A lot of people noticed that the Sabres head coach, Ted Nolan, was there. His son plays for the Kings.
No, it's got to be some sort of conspiracy.
Yeah, there was some people confused as to why Ted Nolan would have been there. It's like, his kid just won the Stanley Cup. I'd be there too.
Good point. Well made.
So.
Yeah, it was. I kind of, with the exception of my team, which is a totally unfair thing to say, I hate seeing teams win it in close consecutive years because the best part about it is seeing people who have never hoisted the cup before get to hoist it. So I will say my last sort of positive is Marian Gaborik got to hold the cup.
Yeah.
He's been a tremendous hockey player on some pretty terrible teams. No offense, Dave, but Minnesota when he was there. Columbus is, still not exactly Los Angeles. And the New York team that he got sort of unceremoniously booted for. So I was happy for Marian Gaborik. But if that's the last we say about it, I'm sort of fine with that.
Okay, I'm good.
Could have been my team.
So, question.
Sorry.
All right, what kind of questions do we have?
We have lots of questions. Let me switch over to the Our HockeyCast account for a moment. Our first question is, what is appropriate date conversation and questions? And my answer to that is hockey.
You should talk about all of your exes.
How you broke up with them.
And how you're perfect. And also talk about how many kids you want and how soon you want them.
And what their names are.
The colors for your wedding.
And maybe how much you really love Twilight.
So a guide to how to be an overly attached girlfriend just happened.
It has to guide by Ari and Terry.
Yes.
I guess single, but
Okay, I don't remember. It's been so long since I've had to go out on a new date.
This is probably not the time or place for this story, but I went on just a horrible date about 2 weeks ago. That was pretty funny. I'll tell it at the end of the podcast.
Okay.
Maybe we can finish off the podcast with worst date ever stories, because I have an incredible worst date ever story. Okay. So, next question. Which NHL team would be most like what World Cup team?
Oh, Jesus, that's tough. Well, today, the U.S. team slightly resembled the Maple Leafs in not having any sort of possession, any sort of good stats, and yet still winning the game.
And yet they won!
It's the only time I'll be okay with being compared to the Maple Leafs. Our meltdown that they have if we keep playing this way will come in less than a week. But, whatever. For now, I'm okay with it.
The comparison I'll make is, I think Spain a little bit Sharks it up.
Yeah.
I mean, the Sharks have never been the defending champions, so I guess in that sense, sorry, Jeff, they didn't Sharks it up. But they were, expected to win and put themselves in a good position, and then just, flat on their faces.
Can we just clarify that, because this is a hockey podcast, Spain got crushed.
Lol.
5-1, and Spain is the reigning champion in several different things. Like several different soccer tournaments.
And was, pretty favored in the World Cup.
Yes, and they got shellacked by the Netherlands. Who weren't bad, but yeah. It was shocking.
LaFawn says, fuck the U.S. men's national team. And after that, I say, fuck you, LaFawn. So, there we go. Next question. Does anyone else have any more comparisons to make?
Nope.
Frankly, I've only watched the Spain game and the U.S. game so far, so I'm a little limited.
I haven't watched any, so yeah.
Maybe you could make Brazil like the Kings, heavily favored sort of powerhouse team.
I don't know.
Maybe Brazil could be the Kings.
Brazil is the Canadians.
Oh, legacy.
Yeah.
Good point. Maybe England is Vancouver. They're really entitled, but they haven't actually really won anything.
I think England is present-day Canadians.
Well, we can't.
I mean, I'm just saying.
I like the idea of having the Kings as Brazil because then we can have the Hawks as Argentina.
The hand of God.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly. The shin pads of God.
God.
That's clearly what they were.
I feel like this might be an inside joke for half the people who are listening to this.
Yeah, we're sort of minimizing our audience by having a crossover. We're going to talk about Wimbledon in a couple of minutes, so then we're really going to minimize our audience.
Okay, so any hockey-related questions?
LaFawn has more World Cup class. Here we go. Hockey-related question from LaFawn. Who do you think will make the biggest splash in the offseason?
I think Colorado is gonna kind of terrify everyone some more. I hope Dallas does. I hope Dallas gets another blockbuster, but
You know, if Colorado fucks up with Ryan O'Reilly and Paul Stastny, they're losing two of their best possession players on a team that's weak in terms of possession. I'm a little worried about Colorado.
They're gonna be fun to watch.
Oh, with Patrick Waugh as their coach, they're always going to be entertaining. And I mean, with Matt Duchene, Nathan McKinnon, and Gabriel Landeskog, they got a ton of talent up front.
Yeah.
But losing two possession players like that doesn't bode well for Colorado.
that's true.
Yeah. I know my team's not gonna be making splashes. We're only, I guess, going after one UFA, so.
Well, Toronto's going to do something dumb.
Oh, yeah.
Right now. So you're always within your rights to say Toronto's going to make the biggest off-season splash.
That's true.
If Vancouver trades Kessler, that could be the biggest off-season deal.
Yeah, it could.
Or wherever Spezza goes.
Well, something on Reddit was saying that the Ducks are looking to get a number 2 center, which it's the teams in the East could just get better and the West chill for a minute.
Back in the West, please chill for a minute.
It's a formal request.
From two West Coast teams, just cut the shit. The team I see having the most potential for growth in the offseason, I think the Jets could really get good this offseason.
If they get rid of their goaltending problem.
How are they going to fix
it? If they get rid of Pavlik and they acquire Reimer, that's a huge step up for a team that looked at times threatening last year with Paul Maurice.
Yeah.
That's a huge gap they have in goal, and that's not a place you want to. That's not a place you can fill in,
Right.
Other positions, you can say, well, this guy really stepped up. There's no one else to step up.
One thing I'll be interested in watching in terms of big splashes for signing and acquisitions is where does Ryan Callahan go? Since he's looking to test the free market. And also, I mean, he's no Ryan Callahan, and he's certainly no, Jason Spezza. But where does Dave Bolland go?
Who knows? As far as Callahan, the rumors are he'll be coming to Buffalo.
You guys always rumor that.
Yeah, well, for him it makes sense. He's asking for an absurd amount of money. We have to somehow get above the cap floor with the Leno buyout, and he would be in his hometown-ish area. So it kind of makes sense. I just have a few concerns about it, but there's a good chance it'll happen. So.
We got a few follow-ups on things we've talked about already. LaFawn says that Germany is like the Hawks, which actually is not a bad comparison.
Yeah, I can really see that.
Yeah, I like that. LaFawn also says, touch on the Sens, and remember to say, fuck Eugene Melnick. He also said, do not mention Spezza, Hemsky, or Alfie, which we've already mentioned Spezza 5 times.
Yeah,
and,
we're definitely going to mention
Alfie.
We can lay off mentioning Alfie, but come on.
Gotta talk about Hemsky. We'll get there, I'm sure. Let's see, should we do another question then, or are we any more off-season?
Well, do we want to talk about what's happened so far?
Sure.
Sure.
Because, we'll go for my team. The Stars have bought out Aaron Rome.
If he clears waivers.
If he clears waivers. Which is woo.
Yes.
That was something that all Stars fans, he was kind of a pylon for a while. He was scratched half the time with injuries, and the other half the time he wasn't really playing well, so that's good. And Vern Fiddler will become a free agent as he did not agree to terms with the Stars. He wants more than what they're willing to give him, I think, both in terms of money and time. And I'm pretty okay with that, too.
That's good.
The Blackhawks have told Michael Hanzus to hit the road, Jack, and don't come back. This is actually sort of a not entirely unexpected. People thought he would probably either retire or not be returned. I was actually already planning a eulogy to Michael Hanzus' career, but if he continues playing, I'm gonna have to postpone that one.
Okay.
Probably bad luck to give someone a eulogy. A player I like too. I'm sad. I'm a little sad to see him go, just because he was a Hawk twice, and both times he played really big parts for our team. He was a surprisingly big part of that 2013 Cup team, and I wish him the best of luck wherever he goes to drag down the average speed of the team to about 5 miles an hour. That pretty much accurately conveys my feelings.
All right. A few others. Colorado has elected for team arbitration, or team elected arbiter. I can't say words today. Ryan O'Reilly. Yes, with Ryan O'Reilly. That word.
That's see, this is what happens when you overpay somebody initially and then they get better. They want more money, but you don't necessarily. But you're like, but we're already paying you what you're worth.
Well, his qualifying offer is going to be something like 6.5 mil, I think. So it's not.
It's not a bad offer, I don't think, but
Is he worth 6.5?
Yeah.
And
you think about what the player comparables are for that. Like, that's what Jonathan Toews is getting paid right now.
Right, and the awkward thing about the arbitration is the team gets to go in there and be like, listen, this guy's shit, and he does this wrong, and he does this wrong, and he does this wrong, and he does this wrong. And then if he ends up accepting the offer, so since it's team initiated, he gets to choose whether he accepts or rejects what the arbitrator says.
Yep.
If he accepts it, then they basically have to, now he's looking at a team that just spent however long explaining why he wasn't worth anything. So that's It's not an unworkable situation, but it's got to be awkward for both sides.
It always is. They have to also have, if they want to keep Stastny, they have to do something. Their cap situation might get tight.
And they've got to acquire some defense.
Yeah.
Patrick Waugh knows it. You know it. I know it. They gotta add something on the back end because Eric Johnson isn't cutting it as their best defenseman.
No, not even close.
Let's run a couple questions really quick.
Okay.
Josh wants to know how happy I am that I graduated, and I'm fucking ecstatic.
Woo!
Woo! Next question: do the Panthers manage to sell first overall? No.
No.
Nope.
There's 4 teams, I guess, interested, and none of the deals are blowing them away. So.
I think it's got to be something good.
This just isn't a draft where the first overall pick is worth what the Panthers are going to want to give up the first overall pick. Like, that's just the way it is. Anyways, I think Ekblad will be good for Florida.
Yes.
Also, Josh wants to know, what does your team need for the draft? Cassie's team needs everything, but Cassie, do you want to start?
We don't need everything. We just need forwards. I'm hoping personally we'll get Bennett, but it's either Bennett or Reinhardt that we get.
Oh, Reinhardt's, I think he looks great. I might even like him over Bennett, but you could go either way.
Right.
Dallas needs defense. Lots and lots of defense.
Yeah, we're the opposite.
We can just combine forces. We also need a second center, but I think we'll probably get that through trades rather than draft. But our defense is very weak. I think everybody pretty much saw that. We're either really young or really old. There's not we don't have like an in between other than Dylan, and actually Jordy Ben did really well last season. But yeah, please God, get some really good defenders who are going to be ready really quickly.
Yeah, I think Anaheim exposed that pretty clearly.
Yeah.
I know saying that Chicago needs things always gets people yelling at me because it's sort of hard to make that case. But there are a couple things we need pretty badly. Sorry, pardon my Minnesota.
No, you're right.
Right. We need goaltending. Not because there's anything wrong with Crawford and Ranta, but Ranta eventually is going to be an NHL starter, and we're paying Crawford for too long to have Ranta be our next NHL starter. So we're gonna need a backup, and right now our NHL goaltending situation is just a fucking joke. We could also use. We're doing okay on defense. We could use some centers. Our center depth isn't great. We're not the greatest at faceoffs, which are really important in terms of possession. Although, actually, I won't go into this now, but there's some really interesting research being done this week on Twitter that I've seen from guys like MC79 Hockey, that some teams, including Montreal, might intentionally lose faceoffs and then regain possession, which is really interesting. I'll link it from my Twitter later.
That seems like an odd strategy, because how do you know that you're going to regain possession there?
But the other thing that I've seen is that the Oilers made a change around Christmas to boost their faceoff numbers, and it actually resulted in worse possession stats, which I think is also from MC79 Hockey. So there's something going on. Maybe another week in a podcast, since we've got the whole offseason to talk about things, we could explore that a little bit, because it seems like maybe faceoffs aren't the be-all, end-all. That said, I would like to win some more faceoffs as the Blackhawks. So I think those are the two things that we ought to... For some reason, we're historically not deep at center. It's always been a problem for the Blackhawks.
I think right now it's a problem for, like, everyone.
That's true. Next question. Who will win the World Cup, and who do you want to win?
Well, I want the U.S. to win.
Same.
Who I think will win? I'm thinking Germany looks good.
I got Germany too. Damn it, Germany.
You know, I would love for the Netherlands to win. Their women just won the Field Hockey World Cup.
Oh, the more you
Their
know.
men got crushed in the final of the Field Hockey World Cup to Australia, but they got there. And I love their uniforms. I loved Holland when I went. I'll go for the Netherlands. They look good against Spain. Granted, Spain looked like shit, but they look good.
I'll go for Germany. That was a pretty dominant win over Portugal from the highlights I saw.
Yeah, I think Germany looks amazing right now.
Cassie, I assume you've got nothing on this one.
I have no interest in the World Cup.
Fair enough. Next question. This is a good one. This is from Josh. What was your favorite playoff series?
Well, I liked Dallas's, even though we lost, because it was just amazing for us to be back after a 5-year absence. Well, 5-season absence, 6 years. But other series, I guess I liked probably Chicago and LA. Sorry, Erin.
Kind of home rush, but I enjoyed the Wild Chicago series. It was a lot. It went a lot better than I expected it to, from the Wild fan perspective.
Yeah, you guys played us close. I'll give you two that are unbiased and two that are biased. I really, really enjoyed the Columbus-Pittsburgh series. With all of the 4-1 leads that were lost and the 4-2 leads and the 3-0 leads and Bobrovsky making saves and Fleury, is he Fleury, is he not Fleury? Sidney Crosby not scoring a goal, like Evgeny Malkin doing the Evgeny Malkin thing. It was just Jack Johnson like fucking dominating Sidney Crosby, which was hilarious. What a great series! That series was so much fun. And frankly, like, no offense to the rest of you, but Columbus Blue Jackets fans are the fucking best. You guys rock. I so greatly enjoyed watching them celebrate wins.
That's fucking canon, though.
Yeah, I love it.
Blue Jackets, you should warn people when they come to your arena that you're going to shoot a fucking cannon off. It's terrifying when you don't expect it.
My other unbiased favorite series was Montreal-Boston. What a great series. Incredibly high levels of hockey, incredible goaltending, PK Subban, Patrice Bergeron, all of the extracurricular stuff. Frankly, like, at the time, I condemned it along with everyone. But in retrospect, like, we can all admit we kind of enjoyed it, right?
No, see, in retrospect, I still hate those series.
Yeah, I love that series.
It's
classic matchup. So fun to watch Boston go down. And then my bias, I've got a biased happy and a biased sad. I am so proud of what the Blackhawks did against the Kings. To go to Game 7 overtime was just a tremendous force of character and will. And although it hurts a lot. That should have been our repeat.
Yeah.
It hurts a lot. I can still be proud of what the team accomplished. That series turned on a dime, and we did a great job. And then I'll say, fuck you, Blake. The St. Louis series was very gratifying. So yeah, I just gave 4 favorite series. I guess if I had to pick one favorite series, I'd go ahead and say the St. Louis series. That was awesome.
Yeah, if I were you, that'd be my favorite series too.
Yeah.
Next question is, I don't know whether anyone else has opinions on this, but it's from Josh. Who are our favorites for Wimbledon? So does anyone else watch tennis?
No.
Right.
The girl with the skirt and the guy with the white shorts. That's my prediction for Wimbledon.
I will say, I think you're crazy to bet against Serena, so I'll say Serena on the women's side. And on the men's side, ideally, I'd like to see Federer win. Second choice is I'd like to see Andy Murray win. Not because
that guy was fun last year.
Sorry?
That guy was fun last year.
Yeah, but I'd really like to see Andy Murray win, actually, because he just hired a female coach.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's not the first time it's ever been done on the men's tour, but it's the first time in a long time. And the first time a really top player has done it in as long as I've been watching tennis, at least. He hired former world number 1 and 2-time major winner Amélie Mauresmo. And he got just a ton of flack from the tennis world, mostly from men. There was all this gender panic about how she can't go in the men's locker room. It was all bullshit. And she's on a trial period. They're just trying out the relationship for the grass season. And so I would love to see him just kick ass and take names with Amélie Mauresmo.
Wait, I'm sorry. Wimbledon is the biggest stage in tennis, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So is it a little odd that you're doing a trial period for a coach during Wimbledon?
Maybe.
Like, you have that shit figured out?
I mean, grass is in some sense Andy Murray's steadiest surface. He's at his best on hard court, so he needs a coach less than. And he's at his worst on clay, so it's not really a fair trial period for a coach. So in some sense, grass is best for Andy Murray. For him, it's even higher stakes than it is for everyone else because he's Scottish, and Wimbledon is the British Championship.
Right. Well, and him winning last year was the first time in how long the British person has won?
Oh, God, like 90 years. Oh, the first time a British man has won since, I think it was it was Fred Perry in, like, 1913. But a British woman won in the 70s.
Oh, just in the 70s. Okay.
Yeah. Um, and then, just regarding both of those picks, actually Murray hasn't been that great this season, and Federer is tragically old. I'd say that Nadal is probably a safe pick, but fuck that guy. So on to questions that other people can answer besides just me. Actually, let's go on to our question of the night. Our question of the night was not just for this season, but right now in the NHL, who are your top 5 coaches? So why don't we all give our top 5, and then we can read out some of the responses from other people and discuss.
Oh,
Or otherwise, we can read other people's top 5, and then we can give ours.
um, I mean, my top coach to me is Babcock.
Yeah, I think undeniably.
Yeah. I like Babcock. Vigneault. Somebody say the Rangers coach name for me, please.
Vigneault.
Vigneault. Okay. I always say it wrong. Because there are a lot of letters that we just ignore apparently.
Yeah, so it looks like it should be Vigneault, but it's not.
Yes. I think he did wonderfully. And then biased homer opinion would be Lindy Ruff. Taking the Stars as far as they got. Especially 6 games and like 2 minutes away from a game 7. Fuck you, Anaheim. That was, we had a lot of holes and we had a lot of injuries and managed to pull out of it. And actually not take our playoff clinching down to the last game of the season. And I think Lindy Ruff has a lot to do with that.
Ruff is a fantastic coach, as someone who had him for most of my life as a coach. I think towards the end he wasn't getting things done in Buffalo, but I think it was just he was there for 16 years, so the message was just kind of not there anymore. But yeah, he's a fantastic coach. Vigneault did great this year.
Interestingly with Vigneault that he was, not just anyone could succeed with the roster he had. That actually he was a huge part of what Vancouver did. I think that in retrospect I give Vigneault more credit than I gave him at the time.
Yeah, and I think it's Cooper is the coach in Tampa.
Yes, John Cooper.
He did a fantastic job. His team was a lot of young guys.
He's a little young as a coach for me to put him in my top 5 yet, but certainly very promising.
Yeah.
Definitely. So when I tweeted this out originally, I said anyone who says Patrick Waugh, I'm going to unfollow. David went on to say 1 Patrick Waugh, 2 Patrick Waugh, 3 Patrick Waugh, 4 Patrick Waugh, and 5 Patrick Waugh. So I'd like to give a special go fuck yourself to David.
Well, somebody from a state that has never, ever, ever, ever won a Stanley Cup. How much are they really going to understand? So,
That's true.
Give 'em a break.
I think for me, my top 3 are pretty clear. I give it to Babcock, Quenneville, and then Sutter in that order. I have Ken Hitchcock 4th.
Oh, I love Hitch.
Yeah, from St. Louis. And then for 5th, maybe Julien, maybe Ruff, maybe Vigneault. A couple people said Boudreau. I'm not totally sold on him.
I think Quenneville makes my list just for the crotch grab.
He is an iconic coach. Yeah, Sutter makes my list if just for Sutterisms. He's so entertaining.
Yeah, he is.
But so a couple other people, let's see. Chris, Crazy Knucklehead, had Babcock, Julien, Quenneville, Cooper, and Klinsman. I think I said that right. Aisha, who can't be here tonight, slightly puzzling, had Babcock as 1st and Claude as 5th, so Julien as 5th, but did not identify who the 3 would be in between Babcock and Claude Julien. LaFawn had Babcock, Sutter, Quenneville, Julien, and then he also had either Ruff, Boudreau, Vigneault, or Hitchcock as his 5th place. Oh, and Cyrene also answered our question, actually, which I will get to in just 1 second. Cyrene had a slightly different list. He had Babcock, Tippett, who does deserve a lot of credit for his defensive systems, definitely true. Tippett's maybe done more with less than anyone else has.
I would agree with that. He did really well with the same situation with the Stars.
So Babcock, Tippett, Julian, Ruff, and then McClellan from the Sharks. And Ryan was the last person, Golf from Miami, answered, with Quenville, Babcock, Julian, Sutter, and Lindy Ruff. So we've got kind of the same guys in play here, with the exception of McClellan, who only made Cyrene's list.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you can blame a reverse sweep on the coach.
No.
Yeah.
At
What
some
the
point,
hell?
the players have to take over.
Sharks, seriously, I blame you. I blame you for Dustin Brown's happiness.
Yeah, it is
No,
all.
I'm not even Dustin Brown. Dustin Brown has cute kids. I blame you for Jeff Carter's happiness, because fuck that guy. Also, can I have a moment? I've already given a good shout out to Columbus. Columbus, stop fucking trading the Kings the pieces they need to win the fucking Stanley Cup. Seriously,
Right.
no more. Just put the kibosh on trades with the Kings.
I feel like if I were a player and the Kings didn't have a spot for me, I'd try to get traded to Columbus.
Yeah.
Figuring that that's the road to get to LA.
Yeah, but seriously, the Kings need scoring, you trade them Jeff Carter, they win the Stanley Cup. The Kings need scoring, you trade them the Marion Gaborik, they win the Stanley Cup. No more. No more giving away scoring. No, we're done. Like, we're not doing that anymore. Right? Okay, good deal, Columbus. Let's shake on it. Yeah, sorry, that was my personal strong feelings about that.
Yeah.
For another question, we're getting a little behind on questions, but LaFawn wants us to make a way too early prediction for next year's Stanley Cup winner.
Oh, Christ. So much depends on what happens.
If it was closer to the start of the next season.
If we were done with free agency and the draft and trades, I don't think it's going to be Chicago. I think...
Fuck you. Yes, it is.
The truth hurts, okay? The truth hurts. I think the Kings will have a chance. I think Anaheim is looking scary, especially if they get that number 2 seed. I don't think Dallas will have a chance yet. I think maybe the next year if we fill in some holes. I'm liking either. God, I can't believe I'm saying this. I'm sorry, Stars fans. I'm liking Anaheim.
Yeah.
I hate saying this. Boston.
This is so painful for us.
Well, Boston's an interesting question because now they've got a cap situation. Because
Yeah.
they're going to exceed their cap by a ton of bonuses. So almost $5 million, which I believe comes in part out of next year's cap. So now Boston maybe can't afford a Ginla. Maybe Boston's got to buy someone out. Boston's in a bind.
Yeah. This is true.
My pick is Chicago because fuck all of you. My team's a contender.
My team has already been ruled out of contention, so...
100-1 odds. That was nice.
Yeah, guys, I'm calling it right now. The Buffalo Sabres have been eliminated from Stanley Cup playoff contention for the 2014-2015 season.
Yeah.
Fade that hair. Fade that hair.
I was shocked that the Stars' odds were as good as they were. I would have put us well over 33-1, but hey, I'll take it. I'll take it.
Besides the Blackhawks, I won't say the Kings because it's tough to repeat. If the Sharks do not lose Joe Thornton, maybe the Sharks?
No.
No.
They're the Sharks.
They are the Sharks, but they're a real talented team with a lot of experience and some really great possession numbers.
Right, but then they're the Sharks, so they're going to get close. And then they're going to collapse in spectacular fashion, and we're going to laugh at them. Don't upset
So
the
sorry
next
about 2010, Sharks fans. Sharks fans, I'm sorry about 2010. There you go. That's my apology right now.
there's a balance to things. There's an order to the world.
Yeah, Edmonton's gonna suck again, and yeah, Ryan agrees with me. Golf for Miami. He says,
Wait. Can we get a non-Hawks fan to agree with you?
"Go, Hawks fans are always right." Okay.
Except this year when you thought they were going to win. Now, I will say, Ryan did not think they were going to win this year, so he has a little bit more credibility than you.
Did I say they were gonna win this year?
I'm sure I could find a tweet somewhere that says you
I
could
felt
win.
terrible about the LA series. Um, actually, they exceeded my expectations against LA, but I did pick them in my bracket, so optimism. So Ryan says, we've got Coach Q. Oh, my question was, why is Terry wrong about why the Hawks won't win the Cup next year? And Ryan's response was, Coach Q, and we're bringing back core players like Kane, Taves, Hossa, and Sharp, which is a persuasive argument.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we have any other questions?
Indeed, we do. One is, do you think more #fancy stats will be used next year by teams?
Oh, I think tons of people. It's going to be a slow thing where this team adopts it, and this team adopts it, and this team adopts it until it's the standard. Why wouldn't you? You know, there's no downside to saying, hey, we might as well get some more information about our team. It's not like you look at stats and they're the Bible and you have to do exactly what they say you should do. What kind of organization would say, okay, well, other than Toronto, would say, nah, we don't need more information about our team, we're good.
Yeah, there was an article that just came out, I want to say in the past 2 or 3 days for the Sabres, where it mentioned that when Ron Rolston was hired last year before he got shit canned, he brought in people who, deal with statistics of all sorts. And Murray is keeping that and is actually improving the system. So it's not going to be just, regular advanced stats with Corsi, Fenwick, whatnot. It's also going to have, how a player is rated. And it seems really cool that we're taking that on. Of course, we employed the guy who created the Corsi stat until this past summer, so we were kind of already ahead of it.
Yeah. I just don't see why you would say no to it. There's absolutely no downside to collecting the information. If there is one, please enlighten me.
I think the one thing about that question, though, is that it sort of begs the question of how much the teams already use advanced stats. And
Right.
I think that more that we think do. There are notable exceptions. Toronto being that notable exception. The Oilers before this year being a notable exception. But I think a lot of teams quietly have their own systems they use. I know the Blackhawks don't use Corsi and Fenwick. They have their own possession metrics. I suspect they're quite similar to Corsi and Fenwick, but they do. Bowman said they have their own. I know that Nashville has hired stats guys to consult on the team. I think that pretty much everyone is using some form of advanced statistics these days.
Except Toronto, apparently.
Toronto is just a mystery to all of us. How could any one team with so much money be so bad for so long?
Because they have no reason to stop being bad.
Yeah.
I kind of wish I was alive for the Curtis Joseph era Toronto Maple Leafs. Well, I was alive. I wasn't watching hockey. But anyways, one correction was, an addition from Nando was that Columbus has a logjam of centers. When we said that most teams need centers, Columbus, apparently according to a Blue Jackets fan, has lots of them. Nando also said that it was Dubinsky giving shit to Crosby, which is true. Dubinsky was hounding him the whole time. But yes, the Blue Jackets are awesome. And then we've got 2 more questions, and then we will have gotten through all of the questions, which is pretty impressive, guys.
Okay.
The first question is, what player gets picked 3rd overall?
3rd overall?
Yeah. So I think there's a pretty clear top 3.
Well, Ekblad's going to go to whoever has the 1st overall pick. Unfortunately, my team has not come out and said who they're taking 2nd. So if we take Bennett, the 3rd team's going to take Reinhart. If we take Reinhart, the 3rd team's probably going to take Bennett.
I guess the question is, who do you think Buffalo is going to take? And who's picking 3rd in the draft? Who's picking 3rd in the draft?
I believe it's Edmonton?
That would be totally unsurprising.
I want to say it's Edmonton, but let me...
Yes, Oilers at 3rd.
Okay.
It's Panthers, Sabres, Oilers, Flames, and then the Islanders, top 5. So I guess the clear top 4, in my opinion, are Ekblad, Bennett, Reinhart, and then there's Leon Draisaitl. I'm not positive I'm saying that correctly. So if you know, feel free to correct me on Twitter. But I would probably rank Reinhart above Leon.
Yeah.
That said, I'm not a huge minor hockey person, so this is based on YouTube clips from these guys.
I would prefer we take Bennett, because Bennett said he has tried to model his game after Taves, and we really need a 2-way guy. But I wouldn't be upset with Reinhardt either. So...
And then our last question so far is, will the Edmonton Oilers be any good next year?
Can we say what the question actually said?
That's what the question says.
Well, no, it says LOL-ers.
Oh yeah, Oilers. Lol Oilers? I don't. How does one? I'm doing my best, guys. The lol Oilers.
I don't think so.
Oil fail. Lolmonton. The Lolmonton Oilers. Okay. No, they're going to suck. But Ben Scrivens is going to win them a whole bunch of games. They're not going to suck as much as they used to.
They need to fix their defense, though. And I don't think drafting a D-man last year or whatnot is going to be an instant fix. Well, let me check hockey's future.
I mean, they did, one of their key areas where they needed improvement was on goaltending, and they definitely improved goaltending with the addition of Scrivens. I think that having to battle a little bit in their goaltending situation is going to help them. You know, you have to expect that guys like Nugent Hopkins and Hall and Eberle are still getting better. Yakupov had a horrible year. Hopefully he'll be better. But yeah, just defensively, there's no hope.
Yeah, according to Hockey's Future, the weaknesses for the Oilers is a lack of size and depth down the middle, no bona fide power play quarterback on the blue line, and a lack of elite goaltending prospects. They have tons of wingers and they have size, but they don't have any defensemen that are, besides Darnell Nurse, that are like projected to be very, very good. So they gotta fix
I will say, I think Dallas Eakins is a fantastic coach.
Yes.
But that's a lot to fix.
Yeah, that is a long list of problems.
Yeah. They need to stop firing coaches, though, because the coaches aren't sticking around long enough to get a system in place. So they need to get rid of their GM.
They do need to get rid of their GM. One thing that was encouraging to me was you did sort of over the course of the year hear guys like Paul and Everly, and even some guys on defense saying the same things you heard Eakin say, which indicates that um, that the coach has the ear of the room.
Yeah.
And so, when you've got a team that loses that much, it's easy to be discouraged and sort of not have faith in your coach. But I think that Eakins really has a chance to make his system work, and I hope for Oilers fans that this turns around.
Yeah. I also did another thing. Twice a year, Hockey's Future ranks every team's prospect pool.
Mhm.
Edmonton is ranked 18.
That's not promising.
That's really not good for a team that's been at the bottom for so long.
Yeah.
I mean, the top 10 are very, predictable, kind of. But other than that, no.
I mean, people talk these days about models in terms of how to improve. There's, the quote unquote Penguins model or the quote unquote Kings model. And the fact of the matter is that the Oilers just there's no plan, and the drafting is horrible.
Hmm.
Yeah. Well,
They should
and
fire all their scouts, honestly, right now, all of them.
since we're talking about a Canadian team, somebody brought up in one of the threads that was talking about a player's no trade list. And not a lot of people want to play in Canada.
I think Spezza was the one who doesn't want to be in Canada anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's not the only one that has had all the Canadian teams on their, or at least most of the Canadian teams on their no trade list. And that's going to be an issue for more and more and more, especially as the media gets bigger and bigger and bigger for Canadian teams.
I don't disagree with you that often, but I do disagree with you on this one. I don't think that it's necessarily a function of Canada. I mean, definitely there is a big media presence in Canada, but outside of Toronto and Montreal, which are suffocating, you're going to get a lot of media coverage in Chicago, and you're going to get a lot of media coverage in Boston, and you're going to get a lot of media coverage in, big hockey towns, Minnesota. Maybe it's a little harsher sometimes in Canada, but I think the reason that people don't want to play in Canada is because, frankly, besides Montreal, all the Canadian teams suck.
Oh, yeah.
And so I don't, because like 2 years ago, lots of people were putting Vancouver on where they wanted to play.
The other thing is, all the teams in Canada are making so much money that they have no real reason to try and get better. And
Right.
a lot of these players play to win the cup. Well, outside of Montreal, what Canadian teams are serious cup contenders?
And it's gonna be a long time for the teams that I think are remotely competently managed,
Yep.
aka not Toronto and Edmonton. Um, Vancouver is gonna structure a lot of things. Calgary has got some good pieces. Oh, we should talk about where Mike Camilleri is gonna go. But Calgary's got some good pieces, but it's gonna be a really long time for Calgary. Um,
And
to get
their prospect pool was ranked 6th overall, so they're in a
yeah,
good
I have
place.
hope that Calgary knows how to rebuild their team. Slash, I like Brian Burke.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I think I've made that probably pretty adequately clear.
If nothing else, he's entertaining. And when it's not my team, if you're entertaining, hell yeah.
I really do think Brian Burke knows how to build a team. So I'd love to see Calgary succeed.
Yeah.
But, what is Ottawa doing?
God, who the hell knows?
For my money, Ottawa might be the most confusing team in the league.
Yeah.
Because, I understand what's going on in Toronto. It's a tire fire. I understand what's going on in San Jose. I understand what's going on in, Washington or Nashville or even Florida, I think. Although they may be gangsters. I don't really know necessarily with the Panthers.
Florida was their old owners were cheapskates.
Yeah, but the new owners, I'm a little suspicious of who's running the Panthers.
Yeah.
What? Just like fucking, what's Ottawa doing? What's going on?
I saw the Hemsky offer. I'm sorry. What?
We spent a lot of time on Ottawa today, so I hope you were all prepared for our Ottawa cast.
When your team is that confusing, like they'll do something, you're like, oh, good. Wait, what? Like it's like they do so many 180s. Like, well, we had to let this person go because we need to build here. It's like they say all of the right things and they take one step to doing the right thing, and then they turn around and run in the other direction.
LaFawn does say about who is a Sens fan, about the Sens, that that's the whole Canadian teams are making money isn't true for the Sens. They're a mid to small market team. And it's true, the Sens have an internal cap, and they've struggled sometimes with funding. So that's fair.
I think for a lot of the teams, I've talked to Maple Leafs fans and I've said, there's not enough motivation because they're making money, and they've countered with, yeah, but they want the playoff money. They get more, so much more, especially now, for making the playoffs. And yeah, that's true because not only do you get money just for making the playoffs and having those games, but you get merchandise sales and stuff too. And that's true, but that's like telling a millionaire, oh, well, if you do a little bit more work, you could get even more money, as opposed to the other teams where you're telling somebody who's poor, if you do a little more work, you'll be rich. So there's more motivation there.
I think most of these guys do play for love of the game and because they want to win the cup.
Definitely.
So
I think that's why people want to get out of Canada, is they're not going to win a cup there.
Well, you might in Montreal.
Yeah, you might in Montreal, but then that's the other thing. I personally think that's the reason is these teams have no incentive to try and really get better because people are going to show up to their games no matter what.
Well, that's not true. I mean, you look at a team like maybe Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment. The Toronto doesn't have an incentive to get better. But a team like Edmonton or Calgary or especially Ottawa definitely has an incentive to get better.
And Winnipeg.
And Winnipeg. I'm sorry, Winnipeg. I mean, one of the questions for me about Ottawa is, which season is the real Craig Anderson? The 2013 season or the 2014 season? Because he was incredible in the lockout season. He was, easily one of the best goaltenders in the NHL before the playoffs, even in the playoffs. And this year he was just, he wasn't Pavlectric, but he was not good. So, are the Senators in trouble with Craig Anderson, or do you guys think, you guys meaning our listeners as well as Cassie and Terry, do you guys think that the Senators can win with him in net?
I think he's a great goaltender. I just don't think he's good enough for them to take, to carry the team to a cup. So.
I'd agree with that. But I think you never know. I think he's good. So I think that leaves the possibility open that he could catch fire at the right time.
He's definitely got a small sample size there.
Yeah.
LaFawn says that, yes, but he's not a true talent like Rask or Lundqvist, and he has a tendency to be streaky, which is sort of the ultimate curse of goaltenders everywhere.
I've never seen a goaltender that is not streaky. They just are.
Maybe Martin Brodeur. Martin Brodeur might be the least streaky, in his prime, not these days, obviously, but the least streaky goaltender.
Well, I don't think he's streaky now. I think he's just not good now.
Now he just sucks. While we're on the topic of goaltenders, can I just say how much I love this Montreal team? I know that, they're fucking Montreal. and like everyone hates them because they're Montreal. But what a fun team to watch!
Oh yeah,
I 100% agree.
I love watching PK Subban. He's so fun to watch. Like
I like watching Galchenyuk, and you can't go wrong with Carey Price.
Right?
Yeah, good time. Anyway, so let's we're getting up to an hour here, so let's quickly talk about a couple of UFAs. Maybe take a couple guesses where they're going, and then talk about off-season plans, and then wrap it up. So I'm just going to read a list of a couple of people who are on my mind as buyout candidates and or UFAs, and you guys can just say where you think they're going.
okay.
So let's say Richards from New York. Definitely going to get bought out.
I have no idea where he'll land.
All right, what about Mike Richards from LA? Maybe going to get bought out.
Who?
Mike Richards?
I don't see
Yeah, I
the
have no
point.
idea.
I would love, can I just say, I would love to see Mike Richards go to Columbus because I would just die laughing. It's the circle of life. What about Ryan Callahan?
Buffalo probably. I have so many concerns about that. No, the concern is that if he gets signed in Buffalo, that they're going to hand him the captaincy, and he hasn't earned it in my eyes.
Do you have a captain right now?
No, but we have a guy who's a rookie, Jorgensen, who's been pegged as the future captain, and he's a good leader and hardworking and all of that. And I would much rather have somebody who's been on the team for, and has earned it and suffered to be made captain than somebody who's just now coming into the team. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, I understand, but at the same time, if you can lead your team, go for it. If somebody comes in and they're a leader, I don't care how soon we hand it the seat.
If I were you, what I'd be worried about is that Callahan's going to get a Clarkson contract.
That doesn't really bother me considering what our GM is probably going to be doing over the next couple weeks. So essentially, and I don't know how much it was talked on our hockey, but Tim Murray is willing to take on other teams' bad contracts in exchange for picks and prospects, with the intention of us either buying them out ourselves or keeping them to stay above the floor.
Oh, that's right. You've got the Islanders problem.
Well, the difference is we actually have an owner willing to spend money.
Buffalo's one of the few teams where I wouldn't be that worried if they took on a couple terrible contracts. Because they do seem like the ownership has some sort of direction, some sort of sense of direction at least. And I don't think they'd just blindly be doing it. Like, they'd be doing it with a plan.
The plan is to buy them out. Essentially, if we buy them out with regular buyouts, we keep some of the cap hit. We'd be cleaning up after other teams because we need cap hit, and Pagula has lots of money, and it'll get us picks, so it'll make us better in the long run.
Yeah.
It's a way of throwing money at a problem.
Well, in pro sports, that's how you fix problems a lot of times.
Yep.
So then, just last note, we should maybe, do you guys have any plans of like hockey things you're going to think about or read about or learn about during the off season? And do you have any questions or the listeners have any suggestions of what we could talk about during off season podcasts? Because we're getting into hockey dry season.
My goal for the off season is to learn about stats because they confuse the hell out of me because I have English degrees. So I see numbers and I kind of, black out for a while. So
we were definitely going to do a stats podcast because I'm kind of big on the That's the thing.
And
Yeah.
that I will anxiously be watching for the moves the Stars make, and also we're still waiting to hear about Pepperly. So those will be the two things that will be consuming my attention, and I'll be consistently refreshing Twitter and our hockey.
Kathy?
Um, Buffalo's going to have a lot of draft picks and a lot of prospects. So getting used to them, learning more about the prospects and like future and stuff, minor league games and all of that's interesting, as well as advanced stats. So that it's kind of exciting too.
Yeah, I guess I've got a couple things I want to do in the off season. I got a couple hockey books I want to read, um, including I really want to reread The Game by Ken Dryden, just see if there's anything in there that inspires me. I want to. There are a couple of historical, inspired by Way Back Wednesday. There are a couple of historical investigations I want to undertake. One of which is I don't know that much about coaches before about the 90s. I'd like to learn some more about coaches from hockey history. And I also was very inspired by my nervous pre-game 7 tweeting about champagne. I want to, my goal, I'm going to make a spreadsheet, do a whole thing. I want to know what is the most commonly used champagne in NHL goal celebrations. And I'm going to go see how far back I can go. Can I get to the 60s? Can I get to the 70s? What were the Flyers using when they celebrated their Stanley Cup? What did Mario Lemieux use in '91? So keep an eye out, guys, because I'm tackling the important questions.
I feel like this is going to get published on some like mainstream website.
I feel like that should be my life goal, is to be like the sports champagne person, because I feel like that really hits my two main interests, which is champagne and sports.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, someone's got to do it.
Can I recommend another hockey book? Well, two actually.
Yes, please
That
do.
will not teach you about the NHL. They're just more hockey in general. Have you heard of Jack Falla?
No.
So Jack Falla was a sports writer in Boston. He wrote for Sports Illustrated, and he wrote two books before he died. Home Ice was his first one, and Open Ice.
Oh, I've heard of Puckin.
Open Ice you'll probably have a somewhat difficult time finding, but Home Ice should be pretty easy. And they're both excellent. Home Ice is about his backyard rink, and it has a bonus chapter in it that is literally instructions for how to build a backyard rink. But the rest of it is just talking about hockey and life, and it's excellent.
Maybe we should do like a book club, each read one, and then report back.
That would actually be a fun thing to do. I'm trying to remember. There was a book I read on the first Soviet players in the NHL called Breakaway, that I strongly recommend. And it's more for story than for really the hockey, but Boys of Winter is the book on which Miracle, the 2004 movie, was based.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just tremendously fun.
I have that book. I have not read it yet.
I enjoyed it a lot.
Good. Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, actually, a book club would be fun. Maybe we'll do Puckin Awesome book club of the week or month or whatever. That's a great idea, Kathy.
Yes, I think that'd be great.
All right. Well, on that note, final thoughts.
Well, I think we also talked about doing within the next couple weeks our favorite games of the season.
Yes.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So, everyone listening, think of your favorite games of the season so we can talk about those too.
Yeah, I'll think.
And on that, thank you guys so much for listening to the Puckin Awesome podcast. I am Ari_Raid on Twitter and on rhockey.
I am Cassie. I am Abstract Halo on both Twitter and Reddit.
I'm Terry. I'm T-Rex20 on both Twitter and Reddit.
Thank you guys so much for listening to Puckin Awesome again. You can check out more awesome podcasts by looking at the R Hockeycast subreddit. We've got, I believe, Hockey After Hours coming up tonight at midnight. which you guys should definitely listen to. It's always a good time. It covers everything from hockey to the best grilled cheese sandwich you've ever had, and I strongly recommend both of those topics. And unless there's anything else, I guess we'll see you guys same time next week.
All right. I'm good. Night.
Night.